Hello, my name is Grian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make animal pens in Minecraft. These are all based around survival, meaning the animals cannot actually get out. So as you can see, I've got a bunch of designs, most of them on the wooden side. So this one is completely made out of just log, and it's an irregular shape but also a little bit ovular, and as you can see on the floor, there is a nice texture to make it look like the animals have actually lived in there for a while. So all you have to do with this is take oak wood and make a rather irregular shape. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. In fact, if it was a perfect circle, it might look a little bit unnatural. So as you go round, just take a quick look at the general shape you're going for and try and make it a little bit irregular. It honestly doesn't matter too much. So as you can see, I randomly sort of placed the blocks around. The next step is to just raise up the blocks every so often, raising one a bit higher and one a bit lower. As long as every single one is at least 2 blocks high, the animals won't be able to escape, and that's what's important here. Just making the animal pen look good and functional. You can obviously make this larger if you want, but honestly this design works in a size about this sort of size. So if you made it larger, it might look a little bit out of place and too dominating in your scene. So as you can see, there's a few bits of decoration using slab and fence, and all you do is go around and every so often add a fence or add a slab on top of one of the logs, or 2 or 3 or however you want. And that's kind of the general idea. You go around and do that and then add a easy spruce fence gate, and there you have it. There's your design. I didn't finish the whole thing because I'm sure you got the idea by now. So yeah, keep it that size. If it's too big, it's going to look too dominating. You might want to make multiple of them to make it work for all of your animals. And then of course, if you want to make it look like the animals are actually, living in there, you can take some podzol and some coarse dirt and just add it in the bottom, and it just makes it look like they've been treading there, and defecating there and whatever else. And that's just the idea of getting the texture. You just add them completely randomly, not too much, not too little. You get the idea. Very, very simple stuff. And then you have the entire thing made, except I didn't finish the entire thing. I'm just showing you how to make them. So next up is quite an unsightly design. However, it is very, very functional. The idea behind it is just a carpet on top of a fence, and it's done. But the difference here is you can actually jump over this. You don't need any gates. So the animals can't get out because it's technically a fence block, but you can jump on it because of the carpet giving you that little boost up. Very handy. Next up, we have a design which is very similar to the first one, with a few key differences, just it being made out of fence. Not everyone has access to as many log blocks as I do in creative, which is infinite. So you might want to just decorate a normal fence gate pen, and just add some coarse dirt and podzol again. And then in the middle, you might want to add some wheat blocks as well as a cauldron if you want to decorate it. Again, this is not necessary. It's all things that might help improve the build in some way. We're trying to create an atmosphere, but also something very efficient and functional. So essentially all we're doing is placing lots of fence blocks and putting fence blocks on top of fence blocks, just to give it that extra dynamic detail. Nothing too special, and then adding more podzol just to make it look like it's lived in. Obviously I haven't added any animals in here, that's for you to do. These are just designs on how to make animal pens. And as you can see, I've done half, and we'll move on to the next one, which is obviously kind of similar, except this time we've used logs in a more neat way of detailing it, and then we add a slab on the top just to detail it a little better. And you just do 2 and then another 2 and then add a slab on the top. Honestly, this is a very, very simple design. I don't expect any of you to struggle with this, but I think it actually looks really nice. It's very reminiscent of sort of stereotypical Western style. The big posts with the fence around it, and again, I've only done half, but you get the idea that you can add a fence gate in at any point. And what's great about all of these designs is it's a little bit copy-paste. You can do whatever you like, whatever thing, but they fit into any shape. You don't have to make it a perfect circle. In fact, I recommend that you don't, as I said before. But they honestly work at any shape. So you could make a square one, but you might want to consider doing a more irregular shape. And as you can see, I've done half there, and it's pretty much finished, and you can work out the rest. I'm sure you're clever enough to build it. And this one, however, is a little bit more complex. If you want a real build, you can make an animal pen with a bit of a roof. Perhaps this is more of a horse stable. And you can see here that the design is very, very simple. We've utilized the design from the last one using the log and the slab, but this time made it a bit more uniform and given it a roof and hay and more details. So as you can see, I'm just laying out some log on the floor in the same square pattern. It's actually very simple, nothing that's that different from the last one. However, if you want to make the stable bit at the back, there's a little bit more building involved. You'll want to raise your frame up a few more blocks, 5 or 6 blocks will do, and then you'll see that we want to put just a roof over the top, so that it's nothing more than supported roof, just the frame and the roof, nothing else. So once you've got your 4 supports, as always we do a little bit of an overhang using stone blocks, or rather cobblestone blocks. The half slab and the staircase do really well here because we want quite a shallow roof. I'm just utilizing the half step every time to make sure that it looks very shallow and curved. Then all you need to do is take your slab block. I've chosen dark wood because I feel like it fits in this scenario a lot nicer than a lighter color. However, you take whatever you need. Again, just the design process here, and you just put them along to cover the entire length of your shed or your stable, whatever you want to call it. And you can see that that's very simply done. However, you may want to decorate it a little bit further by adding some hay. Now, if you've got horses in there, that's a problem, because the horses can actually jump on top of the hay block and get out. So if you place them on the floor, the horses can just get out whenever they want. So what we do here, just to make it look a little bit nicer, is just some fence gates or even just some fences just to block them off. And it masquerades itself as detail, however, it's actually just to stop the horses getting out. But you may find that animals do find a way out, and you have to try and make it so they can't escape, but it still looks good. And that's half of survival building for you, trying to work with animals and stuff like that, but also trying to make it look good. And again, you can add any of the sort of blocks on the floor to make it look like horses are actually living there, and you can make it as wide or as larger as possible. This is all scalable building, and then you can just add the overhang on the other side, exactly mirror what you did on the first side that you did, and it's very simple stuff. And then you've got a nice little stable, nothing too big. This is an animal pen, and I feel like a barn and a shed is its own video, and I will be doing one of those in the future, but for now, just a simple pen like that, this is how I would go about it, something very, very simple indeed. And now that we've sort of shown this one, this is one of the more complicated ones, we're going to move on to the last one. As all of these are sort of wooden based, although you could use any other block, I'm going to show you one that's more cobblestone based. Now there is a reason why all of these are using similar blocks, that's because you need the fence blocks and there are only a limited amount of them. However, the cobblestone is a good alternative, and as you can see from the shape that I've produced, it's an irregular shape using what looks like a dry stone wall. And how you create this is fairly simple. It's what I like to call an organized mess. You can place a lot of random staircases, wall blocks and slabs in a irregular shape, much like some of the first designs that I showed you, and just keep placing them. And then as you go around, the hard part about this is trying to produce a little pen that animals cannot escape, because somehow they always find a way, and to make sure that it looks good and that they can't escape is the challenge here. So utilizing the fence blocks and the half slabs, you can create these little gaps in the walls themselves just by adding more of the same kind of block. So mostly what I've done for this wall in particular is just adding slabs on top of staircases and staircases on top of staircases in a very organized mess, as I said earlier. It's kind of hard to grasp this concept, and lots of people often think too laterally about this. You need to just have a go at it. If it doesn't look quite right, it's by eye, a little bit abstract, and you've just got to play it by ear for every single one. And as you can see, it kind of looks like a little detailed wall that's crumbling and stuff, but it should function as a proper wall. You may need to raise it up a few blocks if you find that your animals are escaping. And as you can see, that's kind of it. It's 1.5 blocks thick most of the time, and the problems that you may encounter the most is where you have a fence cobblestone block on top of one of the normal ones. They hop on the little one and then just find their way out, so make sure you put Haarslap on top of every single cobblestone wall that you place. And then, of course, just adding the little messy details inside the pen makes it look a little bit more used. That's probably one of my more favourite designs, but as you can see, all of these designs work as nice decorative pens for animals, utilising wood and fence and all those kind of things as you would expect on a farm. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I need to say thank you again to Botbox and Ajustme and Blakiichan, I think, some of my crew members that helped put a lot of these pen ideas together. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.